Good evening, Serendipity friends. I hope everyone is healthy and in good spirits considering these challenging times. It seems like every day our world changes and it's difficult to know what to believe in the media. So I hope that our group has helped introduce some other bits of information and knowledge and got you to have feel a little safer about stating your opinion. And I'm really proud to see a lot of the members start to post things on their own pages. Thank you very much, because every little bit counts and I know that it helps quite a bit. So thank you. This particular talk is about COVID-19 vaccine. I really think that this information is very urgent, and I encourage you to really think about the things that I'm saying. This is not a new topic for me. I've studied these things for 20 years at least about vaccines, so I'm very familiar with it. I'm very passionate about the information. This one will focus on the COVID-19 though. Whatever you find out, please share with your friends and family and on your social media platforms. I know that Facebook gets really frustrating. Many times I've wanted to shut it down myself. However, we need everybody to stay on and to put out memes and information and that sort of thing, because it does make a difference. You can't just have all the negative things on there. So thanks for helping out on that. Before I begin, I must say that I do not represent any company or group. I am not getting paid or reimbursed, and the opinions stated are solely mine alone. This information is not intended to diagnose or treat any individual. If you have symptoms, please see your individual healthcare practitioner. Again, my name is Dr.Carrie Madejs, or Carrie, and I'm an internal medicine physician, osteopathic trained. So I want to start this talk by saying the most important choice of your life is, what does it mean to be human? This is a very important question. It's going to be very important for this vaccine that's coming up. And so let me introduce some basic facts first, and then I will give you some information about what has been going on since we've been distracted on the media, and I'll give you some of the conclusions in the end. And then as far as some of the data that I'm going to present, I will give you some references that you could look up on your own. Give me a day or two to put those on the group's album page, okay? So first of all, some information to digest. Each of us has enough DNA in our bodies that could stretch up to 10 billion miles when uncoiled. That's about 35,000 terabytes of data, which is about 35 million hours of high definition video. So what information would this hold? The blueprint for life, how to create it, how your body functions, how it grows, how it reproduces, our thoughts and memories, just to begin with some of those. Also important to know that DNA is similar to a computer code or a binary code. So if you're familiar with those, where it takes a small change in the pattern or code and will have a very grand effect. So you can insert a genome or gene into the genome, so you can put something extra in there. You can take something out so that it's missing one. You can translocate, meaning you take one part of the genome and put it into another area and flip-flop them. Or you can take another synthetic or from another organism, a genome, and cut out part of the genome of the human and insert that other genome in there. When you're doing this, you are rewriting your genetic code. You are writing your software program. And how much change of that code would it take to then be considered not human? And is that ethical and legal, whether or not we know what's going on, okay? These are very important things to discuss, because they're trying to roll out this technology within this year. This is also considered to be an engineered cell line, or synthetic cell line, or genetically modified cell line. Those are all different words that might be used. You have to understand the lingo, because it can be confusing what someone's trying to talk about. An interesting point is that we cannot patent anything natural or from nature, but we can patent something that's been created, modified, or engineered. A good example is Monsanto. It can genetically modify the seeds, therefore it's created something a little different. You may see the corn or the tomato or whatever in the grocery store and it looks the same as a wild type, but it's not. They changed something. So on the outside it looked the same, but on the inside it's not. So therefore they own those seeds. Now if it's a wild type, one that just grows from nature, they cannot patent that, they can't own that, okay? So, you know, translate that or transpose that onto a human cell line or a human. That could potentially mean that we could be patented or our human cell lines could be patented. And if it's patented, it has to have owners. So I think you might see where I'm going with this. And then what if our DNA is modified with genes from another species? Are we still human? Is this transhumanism? And then what if our DNA, our genome is modified and thus can be patented and owned? This is not a sci-fi movie or a future event. This is right now, today. This is called recombinant DNA and recombinant RNA technology. And this is what is proposed for COVID-19 vaccine. The coronavirus COVID-19 vaccines are designed to make us into genetically modified organisms. That is the same lingo and terminology used for Monsanto seeds. Okay? So the front runners for this recombinant DNA technology are Inovio, which is backed by the Gates Foundation, GlaxoSmithKline, and Sanofi. Also Moderna is in there too now, but and that's also a Gates-backed foundation. I will add that this type of DNA vaccine has never been used on humans before. Let me repeat that. Please understand, this has never, ever been used on humans before. Never. They are now proposing to take something we've never used and to inject it into everyone. Vaccine trials are being fast-tracked at a level and a rate that I have never seen in my life, nor did I ever expect to see this. They are skipping over the animal trials, going directly to human trials. They are not using good scientific methodology at all. They have no randomized placebo-controlled trials for any vaccine, which is the gold standard for any therapy to be approved by the FDA. They're not following any sound scientific protocol to make sure this is safe for us, to make sure it would work for us, to know anything about it, and they want to inject it into everybody. The vaccine manufacturers in general are actually exempt from product liability, meaning if it causes seizures, paralysis, etc., they don't, as a group, are liable, okay? They also are exempted from randomized controlled trials. They're doing this with the COVID-19 vaccine, but they're also doing this with other vaccines recently where they can just say, well, we've had the MMR vaccine before, we don't need to do that. You might have tweaked it a little bit, it's still the same thing. What kind of, you know, mindset is that? I can't believe that, because just a little change can make a big difference. Also, they're exempted from needing evidence to prove that these things will do what they say they will do. So, for instance, they just have to prove that the vaccine is producing antibodies. Okay, just because you have antibodies does not make you immune to something. We don't know that for a fact. We don't know if it really would work out in the population of people. A real study, a good study, would show that it actually works in the population of people. They're not doing that. They say they don't have time. So it may not work at all. Okay, so let's ask ourselves, what is the purpose then? So another important fact to know about all vaccines is that many of them are using the MRC5 aborted fetal cell lines from the 1960s. This is an immortalized cell line. Immortalized means it does not die. In other words, it is a cell that has lost the ability to go through apoptosis. And a cell that cannot go through that death process is called cancer. That is a definition of cancer. So they're trying to use a lot of words for you not to realize you're using a cancerous cell. Another term for aborted fetal cells are diploid cells. And they have other terms for them, but I'm just giving you the two main ones they'll use if you look at the list of ingredients. Some of the vaccines that are using these cancerous cell lines are MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, shingles, hepatitis A and B, poliovax, and others. Now, I just want to put this point in because people always tell me, what you're saying is fantastical. There's no way this is going on. Absolutely not. I trust our governments. I trust our companies. I trust Bill Gates. You're saying false information. I just want to tell you that many, many physicians and researchers have tried to get this information to the public for many years and have been silenced one way or the other. Many of my colleagues have tried to do that. I know I have tried my best. So we have tried to bring this to the public. It's not, when there's money behind it, it doesn't work. You know, the media is controlled. So this is why you don't see healthcare professionals and other researchers speak up more. You see some still, but you don't see the group of us because we don't feel like we have freedom of speech. Just wanted to go on. An Italian report backed by the government of Italy and a group of scientists called Corvella, I'll give you a reference to that later, gave its conclusions about some of the vaccines I just mentioned. Their group of scientists state that these vaccines have the potential of increased oncogenesis, meaning increased risk of cancers, increased risk of mutagenesis or mutant genes. What that would exactly mean, I don't know either. Increased risk of transmitting live infections. Well, this has been well known. They also, a lot of times would have a bacteria that's a contaminant, or a Mycoplasma pneumonia is a very common bacteria as a contaminant. This really has nothing to do supposedly with the vaccine itself, but they are in there. So you are getting an infection on top of the vaccine. So folks, telling you just this part, this could be considered or possibly the potential to be used as a bioweapon, right? They are injecting cancers into your body along with very toxic substances like mercury derivatives and aluminum derivatives and other things like that, in addition to the unknown effect of the combination and accumulation of these vaccines together and the synergistic effect that happens. For instance, if you have one vaccine with a known amount of side effects and another one with its known amount of side effects, you put them together in a human's body within some time of a time frame. It's not just like A plus B equals A and B. The two together can have a synergistic effect and have 100 times more detrimental side effects than just what you would imagine, right? So we don't know this. There haven't been any studies done on this. The pediatric population is definitely the most susceptible due to their immaturity of their immune systems, which would be common sense. So let's go back to the topic of why the vaccines are being pushed so heavily on us if the current research and evidence for using them is flawed. So let's follow the money, and that usually will give you some better ideas. So in 2011, the German company CureVac was given $33 million for their research and development of RNA vaccines. Then in 2013, Moderna Therapeutics was given $25 million for their research and development of RNA vaccines. Then in 2015, Inovio was given $45 million for their DNA vaccines, which they also mentioned admitting to using DNA nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is using microscopic, very tiny little robotic organisms, okay? All of these companies are backed by the Gates Foundation or have been associated with the Gates Foundation in some way. It's important to note that so far, these companies have been unable to get these products licensed for human use due to the fact that these vaccines have failed to provide sufficient immunity in human trials. Sufficient immunity is, again, only stating that you have a certain amount of antibodies. This, again, is not showing that the person is completely immune out in the public to whatever virus or bacteria they're trying to protect you from. It's only looking in vitro, in a test tube, how many antibodies. This is not good science yet to prove the efficacy of these vaccines, even if they could get this. In 2010, DARPA, which is the Pentagon's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, military agency, started focusing on DNA and RNA vaccines. And they had a synthetic DNA vaccine that could be delivered via non-invasive electroporation, which is using kind of a sticker with micro needles in it on your skin. You can barely feel it go in there. And in their words, in quotations, it is to enhance and subvert, end of quotations, humans at a genetic level. This is around the same year Bill Gates heavily started to fund the DNA RNA vaccines with the companies mentioned before. In 2012, DARPA acknowledges a brain-machine interface. That is, AI, artificial intelligence, and the human brain will form a neural network and therefore have the ability to communicate by thought alone or being influenced or controlled remotely. Okay, so this is the idea. You go into maybe your smart home, think about turning on the air conditioner, the fan, your favorite program, have the stove start cooking something, who knows what, and it happens because it's Wi-Fi. That sounds cool, right? But think about that. If it's going one way, it's coming back another way. What if the smart home can give you messages too? This all ties in together, so bear with me. So another DARPA program around that time is Next Gen Non-Surgical Nanotechnology N3 program. And it involves non-invasive or minimally invasive brain-computer interfaces to read and write directly onto your brain. Do you understand what this means? I'm laughing because it's blowing my mind away still, even though I've known about this for a while. Read and write directly. They are rewriting what's happening in your brain, your memories, your thoughts. Now, people think this is exciting. It's the Matrix. It's literally the Matrix. I want to learn karate. Download it. I know karate. Your body would know how to do it. I want to learn how to be a French cuisine chef. Download it instantly. I can do that. I can learn a language probably within days or one day. I don't know. So that part sounds cool. You think you can control this? Something else is controlling you. Something else is rewriting your emotions, your experiences. You may have artificial memories of things. You don't know what is reality. You've become a computer program. You've become a character in a computer program that you do not control. This is not sci-fi. This is today. This all ties in. So also to note that DARPA funded a company that produces soft, flexible hydrogels. I've mentioned hydrogels in the past. Injected beneath the skin to perform health monitoring. Important to hear this. They sync to a smartphone app to give the user immediate health insights. However, hydrogel nanotechnology grows and spreads in the body once implanted. We do not know how this affects our DNA. We know that it can send information directly and continuously to an artificial intelligence. Okay, so all of us in a smartphone, mine included, we have health apps. One way or the other, it's in your phone. Sometimes you have to look under a Google app, whatever, it's there. You can disable it, but you can't erase it. It's impossible. This is the COVID-19 apps they're putting in too. It has to do with this. They're getting you set up. You have the app, you have the software. Now all you need is this little hydrogel that's put there. And then forever, everything in your body is monitored. For a woman, your ovulation, when you menstruate, how many times you've had sex, and for a man, how many times you've had sex, how much alcohol content's in your body, all the vitamins and minerals, if you've fallen down, how many steps you're taking, if you're anxious, your emotions, your sleep, they know everything about you continuously. And it's going to an AI program. What is that doing? That's something they're trying to do very fast. They're already getting you set up on your smartphone. This is not fantasy, this is real. So in conclusion, we are entering into uncharted territory that can change what it means to be human. The vaccines for COVID-19 are not safe by any scientific methodology. They are introducing cancerous and mutagenic cell lines into our bodies and have been for a long time. They're introducing toxins into our bodies. This has been going on for a long time. Introducing different animal genomes into our body. This has been going on for a long time. They do not have proof that what they said they're going to do will happen. There's absolutely no proof yet, okay? They don't have to have the proof. The recombinant RNA, recombinant DNA technology will cause permanent and unknown genetic changes in a person's body. Permanent. Once their DNA is changed, he or she will live with that change for the rest of their lives. And also the ripple effects from that genetic change. Who knows what they could be for the rest of his or her life. There's no going back. It's not like, oh, I got that vaccine, it didn't work, I won't do it again. No, it's do or die with this. I don't know, and I don't think whoever's trying to market this really knows the ultimate outcome. But it doesn't sound good. Essentially, this creates a new species and perhaps destroys an old one, us as humans that we know. It's also introducing nanotechnology and its robotic effects into the body. This is all suggesting the ability to use this vaccine and its ancillary products, the things I mentioned just now. And then some of the names are like ID 2020, etc., to hook us all up to an artificial intelligence interface. This is not a one-way street, this is a two-way street. So, I know it's a lot of information to digest, and scares me. It has scared me for years. I've been to scientific meetings where they've talked about this. I've been to business meetings where they talk about this. This is real, it's not fantasy. I've studied this since I was in my early 20s, and it's real. And we have to speak up now. For us, for our families, for our future generations, for the human race. It's no joke, guys. Please do your own research as much as you can and start talking and don't stop the social media. Stay on all of it and you start flooding the social media with this. We have a chance if we start to wake up more people. It's with greatest love and peace I tell you this. And I'm happy to talk about other topics and subjects, and I'll give you these references that I have. So tell me what you think, and please speak up, okay? Have a beautiful day. Bye.